Well, good morning, Free Spirit fans. Welcome to my latest vlog episode. Apologies if I'm not really with it, because it's about 5 to 5 in the morning. You can see a beautiful morning. This is the South Downs near where I live. And Dave is just trundling off in the distance there, up the path. But yeah, I've had about 3 hours sleep, I think. Got back from work late. Got back from work at about 10:30 last night, I think it was. And had some food, and then basically sat around to get my fishing stuff ready, tying up some rigs, tying up some bags, and yeah, I'm going to head up to Horton. Me and Dave are going to go up there. You can tell by what I'm wearing, completely different weather conditions to last time I was up there. We've got this very strong westerly wind coming in. It's a lot colder during the daytime, so I think it's going to be about 11-12 degrees today, and it feels like it as well. You can feel it sort of cutting through you as we go. I'm just going to find Dave up here. Yeah, so it's going to be a different session this session. I think with there being a lot of ripple on the water, it's going to be less of a case of sort of going and looking around in the edges and trying to find them in snags and that sort of stuff, and looking for bubblers. I'm going to go and just see if I can find some fish topping somewhere on Church, and then get there, put some baits out, maybe scatter a few boilie over the top of it, and see where we go from there. But anyway, next stop, Horton. Hope you enjoy this vlog. Well, it's now about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and no signs during the day. The wind has just started to drop off a little bit. It's been savage, to be honest with you. It doesn't look like it here. This is a little bay up the top of the lake, but it's been like white horses galloping down to the other end of the lake. I don't know, it looks nice down the other end of the lake on the wind. There's a lot of people fishing down there though, and on the back of the wind up here it's much warmer, and I'm the only one fishing it, so I'm hoping that there might be just a couple of fish just sort of sitting off the wind up the back of the lake here. But we shall see. It's been a nice day anyway. The rods are out. Had some dinner. Let's see what the night brings. Right, leader's soaking. Just whilst I tie up my chod rigs, just going to soak the leg core in the special sauce. Alright, so it's about 7 o'clock in the evening, and I'm still sat up in the dog bay, it's called, up by the dog kennels at the very top of the lake, in the swim there that I went into this morning. The wind today, all through the day, has just been brutal. It's been a westerly, but it's been really strong, sort of gusting around, swirling around. It's blowing straight down the other end of the lake. But to be honest with you, there's a lot of people fishing down the other end of the lake. I couldn't really see any swims down there that I wanted to move to. I know that there are fish down there, but I'm just looking over the camera at the water in front of me. I think I've just... No, it was a coop. Classic. Just when you think there's a fish showing, it's a coop pops up. Where was I? Yeah, so there's fish down the other end of the lake there, but I'm sort of banking on hopefully the fish turning up tonight or tomorrow morning. Back up in this bay in front of me. Now, this isn't my normal style of fishing. Normally I'm trying to find them and trying to get on them, but with the water being coloured and with it being busy, I'm really having to sort of peg my feet to the ground here and just, you know, try and stay in this swim, and just hopefully it pays off. Am I feeling confident? No, not really. Can I think of anything that I can do to change things? Not really either. It's one of those, you know, the weather's not really warm. There's nothing sort of visibly showing and cruising or anything like that. The water's still quite murky. I can't go around and spot any fish in the edge, and it's not warm enough for that anyway. So what I've done is I've just put a couple of Ronnies on there, a little cast around. I went up and did some food sort of about 3 o'clock, and just before that I had a nice little lead around in the swim. I hadn't seen any fish in the swim, so I thought, right, I have a lead around, and I found two really tiny spots. They're probably, I say really tiny, they're probably the size of the bivvy, you know, like they're probably the size of the roof of the bivvy there, but actually finding that spot with a rod and line is difficult. It feels like it's minute. and they're just raised up a little bit harder. I wouldn't say they're gravel spots, but they're just sort of like firmer, shallower spots in amongst a load of silkweed. And on the left-hand rod, when we're having a little feel around out there, I actually pulled in some very fresh, lovely green Canadian, and it's the first of that I've actually managed to pull in from the lake so far. The rest of the weed I've been pulling in is all dead stuff, from last year, which I don't think the carp are looking for at this time of year, with it being early spring. But that Canadian was real lush, it was bright green, fresh growth, and actually where I found it was where I thought, well, it was pretty much the same area that I saw the fish this morning, which made me move around here and grab the barrow and run round to this swim. So I think that might have been the area that the fish showed over this morning. Hopefully they'll come back during the night to have a little munch on that Canadian and see what's inside there, and they're going to find my rig. Rig-wise, just Ronnie's put the bead up quite high, around about sort of 6 inches away from the lead release system. Really slow, critically balanced wafter just to rest over the top of whatever's out there. And I can't put any baits out because of these bloody seagulls. As soon as you literally pick up a throwing stick on a catapult, you're mobbed with them. So what I've done is I've pinged a few out, and what I do is I ping a few out. I know the gulls are going to take them, but it just allows me to get my sort of eye in with the catapult or the throwing stick, so I know that, like, for instance, my right hand rod is a full extension of the catapult, and that's bang on my right hand rod. The left hand rod, the catapult won't reach to where I'm casting to, so I need to get the throwing stick out, and it's a very gentle lob with a throwing stick. I'll get my baits out there. So I've already measured how to get the baits out there, and the gulls have taken those ones. And as soon as it gets dark, that's when I can actually put my bait out, and I'm probably going to put out around about 50 baits just spread around the area of my hook baits, and yeah, we shall see what happens. But that's about it. That's pretty much what Dave's been doing all day, sleeping. This is pretty much what I've been doing all day, eating Easter eggs. I don't know what it is about fishing, but like I get in my head I'm going to go on a health kick. I bring oranges, apples, water, and I'm like, yeah, I'll be healthy this session. And as soon as someone phones up and says, oh, I'm going up the shop, do you need anything? I'll turn around and say, yeah, I have a pasty and a giant Easter egg. Don't know, it must be the carp angler in me. Right, I'll just turn you around here. I know I'm waffling on a little bit, but there's not really much else to talk about at the moment. So there you go, that's the bay behind. Just goes up, sort of like literally just up around that corner there, and then that's the end of the lake. We're going up out the swim here. This corner here, that's known as Spring Gate, named after the famous Pete Springate. And then right in the distance, sort of like there is a lodge down the other end of the lake. So that's the main body of the lake there. And then it comes around the corner here into my bay, and then just around the corner that way it goes into Church Bay, which is another little bay in there, which I'm told in the summertime the fish love to get into that bay. I think it's a little bit too early in the year for them to get up into there, but hopefully they should get up into this bay, which is called Dog Bay, tonight. Right, fingers crossed, people. Hope you're all good. Hopefully you're enjoying these vlogs. I know when I'm not catching, it's a bit difficult to think what do I put up, but hopefully you're enjoying this a little bit, and yeah, fingers crossed. Right, well, it's now a Sunday morning. It's just gone 6 o'clock. I've been up since 5, having a look around. Temperature's quite cold. See the lake behind me. There you go, so fully light now. Has been for about, well, almost an hour. I'll be honest with you, I was looking around at the all around this bay, and at about 5:30 a common crashed out on the far margin. Sort of a big, not a feeding show, but more of a sort of like just came clear of the water, sort of like this. But it didn't really feel, I wasn't feeling confident. There wasn't any bubbling coming up on my spots, but a little bit of boilie out over those Ronnie rigs last night. And I was sort of like looking in, I was pacing the bank, and I was thinking, oh, do I move? What do I do? I've blown my chance. And then literally, in the last 5 minutes, I've seen 2 humongous Horton hippos show not over my spots but in the middle of the bay, like the last one. You could see the gut on it. It was like, well, I don't know, it's like, yeah, like a hippo just sort of trying to push itself out of the water. And they both went down and started bubbling up. So it's weird for carp fishing, isn't it? You can go from being in a complete low with what am I doing here, why am I wasting my time, to all of a sudden your spirits are lifted by seeing a couple of fish and you're thinking, go on the rods. Yeah, so I'm going to give it another couple of hours in here. Hopefully those fish move over and find the bait. You know, as I say, there's about 50 baits around each of those hook baits, and judging by those last two shows, I think if those fish find it, then they might get their heads down and have a bit of a munch. You know, the only thing is the water is so coloured. You know, it's a clear tap, clear lake normally, but it's so coloured, this water. But they're on decent spots. You know, I've got some drops on those rods that I put out, and I'm just hoping that yeah, one of them's gonna find it, or it's a sign that there's some fish that are moving into the bay. You know, they've come up off the back of the wind, so they're actually having a little search around in this quiet little bay first thing in the morning. So there you go. There's an update from what's happening. Bobbins have stayed motionless all night. No liners. I am fishing backlead, so I don't really expect to be getting too many liners. Don't normally fish backleads, but there's a lot of this sediment that's inside the water at the moment. I think it's the old stuff that's sort of like rising up off the bottom, and you're allowed to fish braid here, so when I can fish braid, I do fish braid. It just gives you a much more feel when you cast out and getting the drops. And yeah, the sediment just picks the braid up and literally floats it to the surface. So I've got some backleads on this session, which I'm much happier about. You know, last time I was down here and my braid was floating up, it was like a tightrope walking out to my lead. So yeah, there you go. Let's see what happens. Well, I'm back down on Horton. It's Tuesday night, just finished work, and driven all the way up here just for a quick overnighter. Weather completely different than the last session. It's been a lovely day today. There's flat calm you can see behind. Last session didn't go great. Saw those few fish in the morning, I think 3 shows that I saw, and nothing after that, nothing at all. I stayed on to about 10 o'clock in the morning, but they weren't getting on the bait, they weren't fizzing or rolling over the actual spots. They were just a few fish that were out in the bay. It's still fishing. Oh, there you go, there was a fish. You see a ring? There you go. There's not been many fish caught, just a few. I think we're still only on about 7 fish for the season so far. But what I've done, I don't know if you can see, is there's this swim that goes out here. Tuck the rods down to the side there, and it's a little corner. Well, it's not even a corner. It's just sort of like a little indent into the bank. Gets overlooked, I think, by quite a few people. But when I was fishing over on the far side, you might have seen it actually in the videos, I pointed out a few fish topping right over the other side of the lake. But that was in this swim, quite close in. When I was down on Saturday night, when I was fishing over in the dog bay, I went over into Springgates Point and I actually saw a fish crash down right on this margin. So I think they're using it. It's quite shallow out there. A bit of fresh weed growth, which I think might be the reason that they're here. It's quite shallow, and there's some really nice fresh green weed that's growing on the bottom. I can just imagine at night time fish getting into this little quiet bit and having a bit of feed. So not put loads of bait out there, just a little bit of boilie, crushed up, probably about 6 bombs of crushed boilie and about 20 baits over the top of it. And yeah, we'll see how we go. But it's a lovely place to spend an evening. Got my old faithful carp dog with me again. There you go, taking up the bed chair. So yeah, it's all good. Let's see how this one goes.